now, like permanently?
No, sadly, they told
There's a
us
sore
we'll be
subject.
back in the office March 31st.
Fuck.
Yeah, so I'm very
It's only
sad.
2 days a week, though, right?
Yeah, 2 days a week from the office.
What do
so
you
it's
do,
not
Jeff?
terrible. I work in insurance, but I'm right now I work in subrogation, so I'm basically fucking debt collector essentially. Like it not yes and
All right,
no. Like
we're
we go
live.
after.
We're live before you say anything else. We're live, just to let you know.
Okay,
Go
yeah.
ahead, bro.
Look, KickFlix, martial arts movies. None of the real world exists.
Just wanted because I was like, oh no, we're talking. Oh no, wait, he's talking about his stuff. He's talking about his real life stuff. All right, hold on. Let's see. Let me put the intro on. I told you guys to get ready, and here I am, like a schmuck, not ready.
Yeah, a
Sorry,
minute
guys.
gone.
Look at the pot.
We should observe the ancient ritual of traditional pre-fight donut.
Yeah! Fear does not exist in this dojo, does it?
Am I the baddest mofo low down around this time?
Shut up!
Break, not hit back.
Silly Caucasian girl likes to play with samurai swords.
You will all refer to me by the name Betty.
I know Kung Fu.
Thank you, Chuck Norris. I said I don't want trouble.
Only a ninja can destroy a ninja.
Defeat does not exist in this dojo, does it? No, now, who wants to go home? And who wants to go with me?
Bam.
Welcome to the KickFlix podcast, your favorite podcast where you come to watch and listen to guys talk and review their favorite martial arts movies from past and present. I am there signs. With me as usual is Mike Roundhouse Mercadal.
Yes.
And we also have Jeff Nunchuck Mercancini.
What up?
What up?
What up?
That's it. All right, and we're done.
What is-
all right. Welcome to the
we had
podcast,
to make
guys.
up for the time you messed up at the beginning.
Today's episode, we are reviewing Jet Li's Fearless. I have to specify that it's Jet Li's Fearless because that's how iTunes knows it as. Because I went under the F's, and there was like no Fearless here. I don't know what you're talking about.
I was gonna watch
Jet
a British
Li's Fearless.
watch a
Jet
British
Li's
BBC
Fearless.
documentary series or something. It's like
I think there's like a Jeff Bridges movie too called Fearless.
there's a bunch of shit called Fearless. If you
Yeah,
on my
a bunch.
Apple TV, I would go, like I would ask you, like, hey, what is? I would just say Fearless, and then like 16, I had to scroll to the right, like so many options to find the
Yeah.
Jet Li one. It was ridiculous.
Right. If you would have said Jet Li's Fearless, Apple would have been like, yeah, well, no, now it makes sense what
That
you're
was
saying.
my
Obviously.
mistake.
All right.
Rookie mistake.
Thank you
from
guys
me.
for checking. This is a 2008 film, is that correct? Or
No, 2006.
2006, right?
Yeah.
Hit me, Mike. Hit me with the IMDb.
Okay, the
description.
IMDb. Here we have the summary of Fearless. Original title Huo Yongjia, and it is a biography of Chinese martial arts master Huo Yongjia, who is the former and spiritual guru of the Jinwu Sports Federation. It sounds like it should suck. Like it sounds like the least like exciting. It's like, yep.
Well,
It's about
no,
a guy.
the only reason it sounds like it sucks is because we don't know any of those what any of those words mean. We don't know like.
Well, the thing about like, we'll get into it as we talk about it. So let me jump into the parents' guide.
Taglines?
No, we got to do the parents' guide up front, just so that the parents know what they're getting into in this KickFlix movie. Sex and nudity, none. One character admits to sleeping with another character's mistress. That's it. That's as sexual as it gets. Violence and gore, moderate. During a fight, a man takes a long fall.
Moderate.
I don't. I mean, again,
This is like violent as AF. I don't know.
No, but it's moderate. If it would have been to the next level, if he wouldn't have saved the guy. and there would have been an impalement.
There,
Like that's
No,
when it gets to
but
the
that's
hardcore.
gore. That's gore, but it's still violent. It's not gory, but it's still super
you're right.
violent.
It's absolutely violent. Like
You're
the
right.
throwing of punches is violence. So this is a violent movie. I
Not when I throw 'em.
disagree. 5 out of 5 people found this moderate. During a fight, a man takes a long fall from an elevated platform, but he is not seriously injured. Total. That's the fight where he fights the dude and he falls, and when he hits the ground, I even audibly was like, "Oh damn, that looked legit vicious." That fall.
Yes, 100%.
During a fight in a ring in front of a crowd, a man is almost impaled on some large nails, but is saved. A man slices his own throat, committing suicide. No gore shown.
What scene was that?
That was when he went back to the guy's house after his family was killed.
I thought Jet Li killed him. I didn't get the fact that he killed himself.
He had dishonored him. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. A man slowly dies from being poisoned. Spoiler alert. Profanity, mild. Son of a bitch is said once. Bullshit is said twice. Hell is said twice. Hell is in the profanity.
I'm sorry. Can we just keep, I don't want to keep saying, can we just say HE double hockey sticks? I don't want to get flagged.
You don't want to get flagged for profanity?
Profanity.
Alcohol, drugs, and smoking. Mild. Wine is drunk at a nice dinner. Actually, they're drunks. Like the whole point of the beginning, the first like huge part of the movie is that he's a drunk. Frightening and intense scenes. Moderate. The killing of the family out of revenge is quite intense. The fight between the two small children may be difficult for some viewers. The child is not seriously injured. It's a movie. None of them are injured. Just about all the fight sequences in particular are pretty intense, especially the final fight, which is also pretty sad. Thank you, reviewer, for your
sad panda.
Yeah, sad panda. All in all, this is rated PG-13 by the Motion Picture Association of America for violence and martial arts action throughout. So I think it all fits.
This is the PG-13, the type of PG-13 that I was thinking and hoping when I took my children to see The Batman. This was not the PG-13 that I got when I went to go see The Batman. This is what I wanted.
Carpentry tools. There was not enough carpentry tools in this one for me.
Yeah, the Batman is PG-13, and I was like, oh, it's PG-13. My kids have seen PG-13 before. It's fine. Like I'm thinking it's just gonna be fighting. Oh no,
no. Cold-blooded murder,
brutal murder, up close, brutal 7 style murder.
But they're 13. They should handle it.
But they're not 13.
That's right. Why did you take them to go see the Batman?
Because again,
bam.
Would you let a 10-year-old watch Jet Li's Fearless?
Yes, but for different, like, because this is God. It's all cartoonish. It's all cartoonish.
Exactly. I thought it's a Batman movie. It's a Spider-Man No Way Home is PG-13. I was like, I'll take them to see that.
Spider-Man No Way Home has intense scenes.
But the thing too, you got to remember, for the most part, I think off the top of my head, Jet Li movies, as much as they are violent, I've never seen anything that it was like, oh no, hold on, like
that's what I'm saying. Usually PG-13 is not. I'm sorry, the Batman was rated R, bro. That should have been rated R.
Sure.
That was a hard. I mean, just because it didn't say fuck more than once, that's.
The fucks were coming from the audience. Fuck.
Yeah.
Jesus. Or like the kid, you're like covering your kid's eyes, like, oh fuck.
I did. I covered my kid's eyes, and then he just rolled over and went to sleep. I'm like, God, thank God.
Wow.
All right, let's get to Jet Li's Fearless. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. Jeff, what do you got?
60 second. Oh, the taglines. Did we get the taglines?
Oh, for the taglines, I can't check my phone because
60
yeah.
I had technical difficulties, guys. That's
I got them
here.
Taglines: mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself makes you fearless. Lao Tzu.
Love it.
Wow, love it.
Yeah.
A little bit too wordy. It's a bit too wordy.
It's a bit,
but
trim the fat, Lao Tzu. Take destiny by the fist.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Interesting approach. He does catch fists a couple times in this movie. Fate made him a warrior. Courage made him a hero. Which is like the standard. That feels like that could be for any movie, really. You know? We should probably do 60-second reviews.
60-second first. I It should
Jeff,
be
go first.
60-second first thoughts because
First impression?
first impressions because we keep going through reviews and it's like, oh wait, we're going too deep into the 60-second
Maybe
first
drop them to
impression.
30 seconds from now on.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
like
30-second first impressions. I like
Yeah.
this. 30 seconds first impressions. Nice change. Episode 18. We're evolving, guys.
Yeah.
You're
This
watching
is
our
an
growth.
organically growing show.
much
like
like
it.
Wushu. There's many layers. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going into
Yeah.
it. I was the one that owned this movie. I'm the one that ended up uploading it for us. I remember now. I hadn't seen it in years. I remembered why I liked it. It's a fun. It's great martial arts sequences. Very deep story that I'm sure younger Jeff wasn't even really paying attention to. He was more excited at the fight scenes. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. 30-second review. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'll go more into it more, but yeah, I
First
dug
thoughts. 30-second first thoughts.
Yeah. First impression.
First impressions, right. Mike, 30-second first impression.
I have realized that I hate dubbed movies. I don't care what language it is. This particular recording of Fearless, Jet Li's Fearless, did not have the original Chinese language audio. So they only had the dubbed audio and the French dub. And then I literally had to restart the movie in French with English subtitles because the subtitles were for the Chinese version that was unavailable. So it was like the English version didn't match the subtitles for the English version. So it was driving me crazy. And I realized that I cannot watch any in the future. If there is a dubbed version that we have to watch, I would rather watch it in any other language with the subtitles than bad English dub. That said, this
That's it. 30 seconds.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's my first impression of the movie.
Yeah.
First impression is I hate
That was not
dubbed.
30 seconds.
That was way more than 30
That
seconds.
was not 30 seconds.
Listen, I say
Go
that
ahead,
all
man.
the time, and she still doesn't believe me.
No. all I'll say is that this is not Jet Li's. This is not the Jet Li movie I would recommend if someone wanted to see a Jet Li movie.
I at first was like very thrown off by the dub. My first impression, I was very thrown off by the dub. And then 5 seconds later, I said, "Oh, okay, it's fine. Who cares?" And then the action was phenomenal. I mean, I was thoroughly impressed with the action. The story I think was interesting. The acting wasn't. I can't really judge the acting because again, the dubbed really does fucking hurt the acting on this one. So I'll be interested in seeing a dubbed version of like Tom Hanks in something and be like, oh, that's not the way Tom Hanks did it. But I will say this is I thoroughly enjoyed the hell out of this movie, way more than I thought I was going to, based upon the first minute and a half of the dubbing. But the kid part was very painful to watch. Just because it felt like it was worse acting than the rest of the movie. Like even on Chinese, even if we would have been watching the Chinese version, I feel like, again, this is all conjecture, but I feel as if even understanding Mandarin or understanding Chinese and watching this movie in Chinese, the kid acting would have been like, "Oh God, this is stupid! Like it's so bad. It's like it feels like a few levels lower than the rest of the movie."
Excuse me.
So I was bless you. I was so glad to have this kid grow up as fast as he did. I wish we would have grown up faster, but yeah.
Let me tell you though, I the dubbing, as terrible as it was, it made me laugh because he sounded like the bad guy from Kung Pao. Like, ha.
Yeah.
There will be dubbing. I will tell you this. I know more French than I thought I knew because I was pick up words here and there like, oh yeah, I know that word. I can't speak on the dubbing, and that really does hurt. Like I don't understand the logic of not having the original Chinese as an option, iTunes, Apple, because there are like heavy dramatic moments, The reason why I say this is not Jet Li's like best is because it follows a very typical kind of pattern of the hero hits rock bottom because of he's reckless, and then something bad happens, and then he loses his family, has to go and find himself in a rice paddy, and then he rediscovers his inner control, and he understands his something about his father that he didn't understand before. All that stuff feels, it's for a movie that came out in 2006. This feels much more old school than some of the other stuff that was coming out of even like China at that time. So
Now,
it was
remember,
like,
it's a loose biopic. So
loose
I
is
didn't know that until the very end. I had
oh, you
no
didn't know that
idea.
this was a real based on a true
Zero
story?
clue into the very end, because again, American movies, they will tell you based on a true story in the beginning. Of they didn't say that. So I'm watching a movie like it's complete fantasy, and at the end they were like, he died when he was 47. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? This guy, and then I had to Google it. I literally ended up Googling the fact that this guy was a real dude. And his family, by the way, was not happy.
They
Not
sued.
Yeah,
They sued.
They
They
sued him.
lost.
Yeah.
Well, just as a point of comparison, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which I think is a masterpiece, came out in 2000. You know what I mean? So that one was traditional, and it didn't have a lot of CG, and it used wire work, and it did a whole bunch of stuff. And still,
I don't like that movie, but I only saw it in theaters. I haven't seen it since, so I can't really speak on Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. But I didn't like that movie at all. But then again, 2000, I was 18 years old,
right?
and I'm sure I went into the movie theater thinking that it was going to be a different movie, and I was like, "What the fuck is happening?"
Yeah,
I remember laughing when they first flew. I remember laughing. I'm like, "That's hilarious! Is this real? Is this really happening?" Like that was my so yeah.
What do you guys feel about the propaganda angle of this movie? Because it's based on the guy who started this incredibly powerful organization in China. So how much of all of this feels, especially the end half of it where he finds himself and all that stuff, feels very propaganda-y to me.
Well, I mean, I think the whole thing about it was a kind of telling of the imperialistic and the imperialism that was like trying to invade China from all sides, from Japan, from Europe, from America, that they were trying to exert their control over China. And basically, like the line that they say in it, that it's like what was it? The Asia's full of sick men, or sick men of Asia,
the weak men
something.
of Asia.
There was something sick that the guy said, that apparently that's actually what was said by like a wrestler to like refer to them. So there, I can see the propaganda side of them trying to like be like, look, we weren't, we were fighting, we were trying to, fight against this ideology that people had of the Chinese at that time. So I could see that 100%, 1,000%, especially that end. Like this was the first movie that we've done in KickFlix, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, where I didn't hate the last bad guy.
Right,
where you wasn't a bad guy.
Right. The goal of this movie was different, because the bad guy was the Japanese guy that poisoned the fucking
I can't really hate this guy. That's not something I can really bring myself to doing. But I mean, if you hated him, by all means, that's all you, buddy.
Oh boy.
I
know what you're saying. Yeah, it's not about the tournament itself. Wasn't about the guy you're fighting, which is a message in the thing when they talk about tea. Remember that whole scene where they talk about
right before
he fights, and they're like, "Oh, I respect you now because we had this tea conversation." I mean, it's all about the fact that the sport of it all is the martial arts is the mastering of oneself. You know what I mean? Like mind, body, soul. The whole Jinwoo, the tenets of Jinwoo. And then it was this whole thing of like, I tend to question a lot of the magic of people who try to make true claims about martial arts history. Like the fighting and all these masters and all these things are just, it's the same thing as like the tall tales of the West. They become exaggerated, and they become
100%.
Yeah. So like whenever, and also there's a guy who fights in MMA in China, who goes around and is challenging kung fu masters and beating the fuck out of them in their own schools, like old school style. Like, I challenge you kung fu. I challenge your school. I challenge. Give me somebody. And they beat because he's doing MMA, he beats the fuck out of them because he's not doing any of the chi, any of these like things. No, they're not training real fighting anymore. That he just comes in and he's been like chastised and cast out and kind of exiled in China. Like his the super corrupt government of China has lowered his social credit score that they have over there to like nothing. Like he can't get a job. He can't, like, you know, like you can't. It's crazy just because he's ruining the tradition of Chinese martial arts. So it's like this weird catch-22 when they try to make it real for me, where I'm like, I mean, just keep it a story.
Well, the thing is,
it's the weirdest thing. You have the weirdest mind in what you can't watch something. You have the weirdest mind. You can't watch it. It's like you said the same thing with like Double Impact. You're like, oh, I know Van Damme's not a twin, so it's phony baloney. And I'm like, what?
You can't compare those two things. Those are two separate things.
No, I'm comparing this because I'm comparing this because it's like you're literally watching a movie about that, you know, and you're like, there's a guy in China that's really.
I didn't think about that.
His credit score is really low because he's proven this wrong.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know what
I get what you're talking about?
Do you know what the social credit thing is that I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know the social credit thing. I'm also making a joke about credit score. Jesus, I mean, you know, it's a comedy podcast.
You're misrepresenting me as a.
It's kind of like
we're all joking or we're all serious. Either you don't really think I'm crazy or you do. You can't.
No, first of all, I didn't say crazy. I said weird. I didn't say crazy.
Pivot halfway through the insult into a joke.
I said weird, and I absolutely. That's the whole insult is a joke. Well, that's literally the whole thing. The whole insult is a joke. I'm not really mocking you to your face. I do that behind your back like a normal human being.
The secret chats you have about me, because of course you do. I am so much a prominent figure in your lives that you have to have a separate private chat. That's how egotistical I am. Your insults.
I'm gonna send you something in the other chat.
No. But the point, what I'm saying is, like, it's not that it took away from this movie, but I'm not going to pretend like I don't know things because I want to enjoy. You know what I mean? Like, I know them already. I have to filter it through this movie through the knowledge I have. I'm not going to not do that. And it doesn't mean I didn't enjoy the movie. I did. I loved the fight scenes were next level, old school wire work. Good. They were awesome, and the camera work.
What do you mean by wire work?
Oh, Neri, I have bad news for you.
I don't know what you mean, man. It's just.
In Crouching Tiger, they flew. No, they did.
Oh no, Crouching Tiger, yes. Crouching Tiger was full of Crouching Tiger was full of shit. This one was real though. This was like legit.
Yeah, 100% accurate.
I did love the fight scene with the chin, the one where the turning point, the negative fight where he goes and he.
Oh yeah, when he kills him.
With the swords. Yeah, with the swords.
They broke 6 swords doing the first take of that scene.
So dope. That was fantastic. Yeah.
What I love about this movie is that they give you the really quick history lesson at the beginning, and then it's like, all right, now let's go to the fucking of just a fight right off the bat. It's like, all right, here's the history lesson.
Yeah.
Now they fight each other. Now people are fighting the shit out of each other.
They bookended the movie with the tournament, which I thought was crazy. The spear fight where it's like, hey, like just out the gate, hey, we're gonna fight with real spears in front of people. Like you should have died. You cannot not get injured with sharp things and swords and knives.
Well, go ahead, Nick.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the guy, because they were experts. Like the 3 guys he fought were experts in those crafts. The guy that they was doing the spear fight with, they originally didn't have spears on the end. It was just gonna be with staffs. And he goes, no, it's too unrealistic. You need to put a real bladed spear at the end. And they're like, all right.
I thought it was a prop one that would look too fake. And then he was like, no, put a real one on there.
No, they didn't even have it. He's like,
they were filming, and he goes, we need to put a real spear. And then Jet Li's like, yeah, you need to sign a death certificate.
Yeah.
You need to sign this shit right here. Signing this away.
Waiver.
I thought it was what I thought was cool. What I thought was corny about that fight, specifically the spear fight, was the fact that the other guy was like, "I'm so mad, I'm gonna cut my spear in half," and like that,
that defeats the purpose of a spear.
Immediately go to a disadvantage. Like I don't understand. Like that.
That's how it ended.
That's the equivalent, which is how it ended. But immediately, right when he broke it, I was like, "Oh no, boo, that's not." Oh no, I equated it to. imagine Anakin having the high ground and be like, let's switch. Let's fucking switch. Let's switch right now. And then he's like, what? Yeah, let's switch. And then immediately, like, it fucking up for him. And like, oh, I immediately regret this decision. This was a bad decision on my part.
I'm trying to find where it says that the dude with the spear, he had to prove his accuracy. Did you read that?
Yes. So they were before they switched over the stuff. He said, all right. He had somebody hold. I forgot what it was. It was like either a
stack of
fruit
newspapers.
or newspapers. That's what it was. And he literally like speared it perfectly through from like far away, like with one shot, speared it dead center. And they're like, okay, we'll switch the heads of the blades then, and we'll make it real blades so it doesn't look fake.
That still could have ended very badly for Jet Li.
Yeah.
That still
because just because you could do it once.
Yeah. Well, not only that, just because I could hit something. Just because I could hit something doesn't mean that I could not hit something when I don't want to hit it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like muscle memory is a motherfucker. Like, what if that guy would have like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just so used to always hitting my target that I actually hit Jet Li in the fucking face with a real spear.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus.
Man, where the hell is it? I'm trying to find. Well, a bunch of people got hurt legit on the shooting of this. Like,
especially
legit.
from the big guy behind you in your picture behind you.
This gentleman here,
that
I loved this guy. I loved him so much. He was just like, let's get the biggest, whitest man. And
you know, it's funny because this guy was bigger than the guy that he ended up fighting in the tournament. That was the quote unquote the big European guy. And
that was
this
the
guy
Russian
yeah, the Russian guy. This guy's American. That guy's
Yeah.
American here.
Yeah.
Or at least he played an American. I don't know. They did some white facing. But he was bigger than the other guy. He was bigger than the.
Yeah, this guy.
I
was
felt him more
massive.
menacing. I felt this guy more menacing than the other guy. Anyway,
This fight scene I liked a lot because it was the like it's where he like shows, it was very obvious that he's like, I'm not going to kill anymore and I'm going to be, the altruistic fighter and all this stuff like that. And he's getting thrown around. Like, he's literally getting like ragdolled around, and he's like, oh, good one. All right. Okay.
Still not going to kill you. Still not going to kill you.
Oh, what a nice technique of a martial art that is, to grab and throw a person.
Did you just throw me like Colossus throws Wolverine? That's nice.
So what would you say is your favorite fight from the movie? Because there were so many. The sword fight?
It's hard to say, but
I legitimately love that picture that we have in the corner. If you're listening to the audio version, you could go to YouTube and Facebook. But that picture, that 3-rod thing, I've never seen that before. So definitely never seen it in a movie, but
really?
I don't think I've ever seen that before. Yeah, no. What I mean, can you tell me what are them? I mean, maybe I'm just misremembering or not remembering correctly. But I don't recall another film that had
Crouching Tiger.
Well,
but
yeah,
it's a movie. I've seen it in a couple things. You're right. I can't pinpoint exactly where, but I've seen it.
I think it was a Ninja Assassin.
Oh no, yes, the guy at the end.
No, you're confusing it with a double-edged sword, with a double-sided sword.
No, that's Star Wars. That's Star Wars.
That's also Star Wars. Also Star Wars. That's why when a lot of people, when they confuse the two, when you talk about Ninja Assassins, they're like, "Is that what the one with Obi-Wan?
You talking about Star Wars? Are you talking about the Star Wars?"
They're like, "No,
the one that's not in space." Oh, you mean Ninja Assassin?
Oh, but that weapon to me is so dope. Such a smart. It's like a longer version of a nunchuck. It's a more efficient version of a nunchuck, and I think it's so good. And I'm a fan of the. I'm not to brag, but I'm a fellow chucker.
Fellow chucker, eh?
But this thing right here, I don't know what it's called, but fuck, it's so like
3-section staff.
Look, what?
3-section staff.
A 3-section staff. The 3-section staff is so dope. Like, I used to make fun of kids who they were like, my favorite Ninja Turtle is Donatello because of the staff. I'm like, you're boring. You're like, that's like, I used to like legitimately.
He was the best one.
The staff is boring. The staff as a weapon is just boring. It's like you get the broomstick from your mom's, like that. You just get the broom handle. Like, that's it. That's what you get. But the 3 sections. But But the 3-section staff is like, oh, this shit is. I mean, I was very impressed. I that portion of the fight was so dope, but it was so short, so it's hard to say that it was my favorite fight because that one section where he used the 3-section staff was so quick, but it was awesome, man.
I did love that they showed the other guy, like when they switched weapons, the other guy wasn't a master
Proficient.
and
Right.
didn't know how to use it, so he ends up like he's got some of it down and then the finesse of it and he hits himself. You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
that was a very, very quick and precise way to show, oh, you can still do something with it, your styles and all that stuff. Like basically highlighting the whole T argument that they had before, that it's just a practitioner practice. Everyone practices in a different way, and that you haven't used this weapon, you wouldn't know the techniques to make it elite level. But the other one, when he's using the katana, it was like, I mean, it's just a sword. It's also like so much heavier. I think it feels so much heavier than they show it in the movie, and they do it for flair because it's a Chinese martial arts focus. So like they're doing it where he's doing a Chinese martial, but it's so much like when you see like in samurai movies when they do like more traditional Japanese sword styles, it's not flashy at all. It's actually
it's just pretty straightforward.
It's super reactive, and it's almost like if there's more than 2 moves, forget it, you're dead. Because
that's one thing that annoyed me a little bit. It didn't annoy me, I'm sorry, but it was one thing that I was just kind of like, that doesn't kind of make sense. Like, because the katana is very different from the straight swords that are typically used in the Chinese martial arts, and it's like you said, it's a lot heavier. But he was like flipping it one-handed, like if it was nothing. And the way that those are balanced, it's really hard for you to one-hand that, unless you're doing jitsu, like an jitsu duel or something like that.
But even then, like we have a comment from Hilda, who is says, what, the beauty and simplicity of a bow is fantastic, especially considering it was originally used to carry water pails, and then boom, secret weapon. It's true. It's a stick. Well, that's the whole thing about nunchucks, is that modern, like, it was a threshing tool. It was like used to harvest wheat. Like you'd swing it around something and pull it towards yourself. That was what nunchucks were. Not like, realistically, a stick is a safer weapon to use, and of a stick of the same length of that you get with the range of a nunchuck is safer because it's not snapping back at you, and doesn't have that chaotic element to it. But it's also easier to see how it's coming at you and what's gonna,
right.
There's all the, but that's like a lot of people are like, oh, you can't do the flashy moves, and then it's like, why do you want to do flashy moves? It's all about
because it looks fucking cool, bro.
That's
to quote
exactly
Peacemaker, because it looks fucking cool.
Yes, and that's why these movies are always going to be like very. It's always like ballet or dramatic interpretations of the true martial abilities. You know what I mean?
And the thing, and to go back to something that you kind of mentioned earlier that I wanted to in your 30-second review or your extended review, that the storyline of this is kind of that basic kind of storyline, but it really got to me. That's what I was saying in my review, that like as an adult, I appreciated that story a lot more, even though you have seen it a bunch of times. The way that they did it, where like his father's telling him, his mother's telling him growing up,
right.
It's not about how many accolades you get. It's honor comes through it's not
Through
comes
self.
through beating everybody and through that. It's through self and through using things the right way and stuff like that. And it's not until his whole family gets murdered that he's like, is into shame. And even when he went into shame, and I say all this to go into the rice paddy scene, since Mike had mentioned about cultivating, where when he gets rescued from the ship sinking, even then at first he didn't understand that you don't have to be the best at everything. Like, that's not what's important, because when they start planning the rice plants, the other 2 guys are taking their time, and he starts speeding through it without anybody saying it's a contest, and starts like self-competing against them.
Yes, I remember
and
that.
Then,
I remember thinking the same thing. Yeah.
And they all stop to like just enjoy the breeze from the mountains. And he's like, "What the hell are you guys doing? You're losing," And then and then you find out later, it's like the blind girl's having to replant everything because he did it wrong. So I love that whole lesson that you get that kind of goes full circle in there. And like, even after he's left in shame and is, almost died, he still, until somebody really sits him down and is like, you're being an asshole. Like,
Yeah.
you're being dumb. I love that about it. I like that take of it,
How long do you think he was there? That's one thing I wasn't sure about. Like, how many years pass?
Well, it was
at least like 5 years, 5 or 6 years.
Because he's gray. Like, they show him a little more gray as he's leaving. They show the seasonal change like once, but they don't show. Did they ever specifically say like 10 years later or 5 years
well
later?
between the time that he got when he got back to his town, it was 1407, and when he got or 1807, whatever it was,
1907.
1907, and then when he fought the American, the scene that you have in the back, it was 1909.
Oh,
And I was
so
like,
2 years.
oh, that was 2 years, huh? All right. I didn't think it would take that long for him of a journey, but I was like, oh, okay, it makes sense. And I was thrown off by that, but I was also like, oh, good, because I was about to be like, oh, really? He hasn't practiced martial arts in God knows how long, but he's still bad. Like, let's be fucking, you know what I mean? But no, it showed that, they showed the dates, so it was 2 years. But I don't know how long he was in the. I don't know how long he was in the mountains for. That I don't know.
Yeah.
It
Well,
didn't specify.
they don't, because when they show him doing all the training in the on top of the mountain, the hill, the Sound of Music moment, the hills
Yes,
are
Sound of
alive
Music.
with the
Yeah.
sound of me doing martial arts. It was
the
like
sounds of Haya.
and I do that's one thing about the Jet Li movies that I do enjoy, because he's done a bunch of these like historical movies.
Yeah.
Once
He
upon a
said
time in
this was his
China.
last one. The way they
Yeah.
promoted this movie.
With this movie, he's the only person that's played the big three of historical martial artists from the Qing dynasty. So he's played. This movie was the third one that he's played a historical folklorish martial artist from that dynasty.
Who are the other ones?
Feng Sayuk and Wang Fei Hung, which is the Once Upon a Time in China is Wang Fei Hung, which is like, because it goes through the different like eras of advancement, like, because the more recent stuff has a lot more that the invasion of modernity, like, in the invasion of this kind of like this abandoning of traditional culture for the new stuff coming from England and the new stuff coming from Japan, and like there's like a bigger gap also because there's not as many historical texts written at the time for like the Feng Sayuk, which was like in the 1700s, is like
and then who else?
And then
this three, and then this one.
Yeah,
he was the last one.
So like, and here's the thing. My problem with like all of these is that of the three, I like the other two better. Like Once Upon a Time, the Once Upon a Time in China series is awesome and incredibly well directed and very visually beautiful. And then the Feng Sayuk movies are they're just called Legend in the United States. And
Jet Li's Legend.
Actually, I think it might actually be called that. But then there's also Fist of Legend, which is where he plays. That's my favorite.
That's my
Jet Li movie.
too.
It's on my list. I can't wait for it. It's on the wheel. I can't wait for it to do it. But also,
you can't find it anywhere though.
That's right.
I have the DVD, but I couldn't upload it.
We'll figure it out. But the idea of those movies being like these the three major historical figures of the Qing dynasty are Jet Li movies. This is like the weakest one in my opinion, because the other ones were already so iconic. Like if you see, there's a fight scene in Legend that is like bonkers good, like it's so amazing that he is as good as any of the stuff that comes after it. Is hard. He has like 8 samurai swords that he steals. It's wild. It's crazy. And that, to me, it's easier to believe the fantastical stories of something way before than something that is supposed to be placed in like, the modern era in the 1900s. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and they took a lot of liberties in this though too, in the sense, especially obviously in the fight scene. It's a lot of the fight scenes, including the tower fight, but like, it's not really known what the real reason he died is. Like that whole him getting poisoned at the tournament thing was for the movie. people that have claimed he was poisoned outside of it, but then apparently they dug up his corpse and his bones in like in '89, and they ran some tests and they found that there was like signs of that he had like black lung or something like that, like he had like lung issues, and so even that they took a lot of kind of they based it off of the legend of the fact that he was poisoned, and they took their own interpretation of it, but it didn't really go down that way, that he died in the middle of a tournament and like all that song and dance. That was, creative license.
That's also a really common thing in martial arts stories, that the only way he was defeated is because he was poisoned pre the fight. It's like he would have won, but he had been poisoned, and then there's no real way to prove it. Back in the 1700s, they didn't have like microscopes and shit.
Yeah.
So it's like so there was always this like nah, he let you win kind of, like I let you win kind of mentality of like, you're not really that great. It's some extenuating circumstance that you won. And that was like, that's whenever I see poisoning, like, oh, they show the little teacup swap. And and then it's also like the Japanese are always the bad guy, of course. So it's like they showed all this stuff and I was like, there it is.
But
boom, nailed it.
But
I got it.
But they changed it. But it wasn't this, which is why I loved it and I thought it was so refreshing, because he did win the fight. And it wasn't because the other guy gave him, because the other guy said, we can stop.
Right.
I respect you too much. And he goes, no, let's keep going. And the other guy kept going full on him. And when he tried to block and he did the same punch that killed the other guy.
Killed Chin.
That's why they show the flashback. And the guy, he looks down and he realizes, oh, he had me. Like he would have killed me right there. Like I would have been done. And that's when they stopped the fight. And that's why he tells the Japanese guy he won. And he's like, no, you let him win. He's like, no, he won. Yeah. They set up that Japanese the fighter to be not that type of guy that he's like, I'm gonna fight for honor and I'm gonna give you the same honor and respect that you give me.
I specific the Japanese fighter is fine. The Japanese are the bad guys. In every Chinese movie, the Japanese, it's like it's like for them, it's like when we say the Nazis, like they genuinely, like, people tend to gloss over because of Japan now versus Japan was a warlord state. Like it was super imperialistic and very militaristic and taking over property and expanding its borders and all that stuff. So it's like, and they were brutal, like ruthless. Yeah. So it's hard to like separate the two. Also, it's hard to not think about how fucked up China is now, and all of the kind of like what is it, dictatorial authoritarian stuff that they do. That's why it's hard to like, as I'm watching this movie, it's hard to separate the two things where I'm like, oh, okay, interesting, nice, okay, and then it's like, but also you're monsters too, so
yeah.
Yes, okay, all right. This is your side of the story. All right. Okay. Yeah. Japan, you want to come tell your side of the story? Oh, you're monsters too? Oh, okay, great. Okay. United States. Oh my God, we're all monsters. Oh no. Oh, who's telling the story?
But yeah, I mean, and here's the other thing. So like they took some license in the fact that the way that the movie played out, it looked like he never had any other kids or any other people to carry on his name. He actually had 7 grandchildren and 11 great-grandchildren. So that's who
sued Jet Li and the filmmakers.
Yeah. But the thing is, it wasn't just the one, like they didn't make it seem like he ever got with somebody again, and they got together.
I assumed that he hooked up with the blind lady. That's who I thought. I mean, I just took that as. You don't be cooking with a blind woman without, come on, man. There's some other shit going on there, man.
I don't know if you noticed in the editing of that scene, they were showing like that she would be doing something and then they would cut and then he's doing it and then they would cut and then she's doing something else and then they would cut and then he's doing it. Basically, like I assumed they were together. That's genuinely,
that's what I thought.
Yeah. Like it was a romantic, maybe not necessarily a romantic, but a convenience of a relationship out of convenience where they were just together now,
Well, and it ended up being because he later on said, he's like, I have to go back and visit her. I promised. He said that at one point. So, there's a good possibility of that. But yeah, I mean, dug the movie, and I like some of the creative things that they took, but I agree with you, Mike, that this isn't like the best Jet Li movie by far. Fist of Legend still like my favorite. You
It's
know,
it's also
To someone who I've seen very limited amount of Jet Li movies. Most of the Jet Li movies I've seen are the American films that Jet Li's made, and I very much enjoyed his movie. So I don't have anything to compare it to as far as his Chinese movies. Um, so this was great to me. I thought it was great, but again, I don't have anything to compare. I don't have much to compare it to because the Jet Li movies I know, like my favorite Jet Li movie to this day is
Lethal Weapon 4.
No,
Exit
Mike. The
Wounds.
one. What was the one where Mia Sorvino? I just had a
Oh,
brain fog.
Replacement Killers.
Kiss of the Dragon.
Kiss of the Dragon
with
Kiss of the
Bridget
Dragon.
Fonda.
Yeah, that to me is my favorite Jet Li movie. I mean, that movie was dope.
The American version of Jet Li is very different than the Chinese version of Jet Li in terms of his movies. Also, in this movie, in this movie, there is a whole series of scenes that were cut for time. Michelle Yeoh has scenes in it, and then there's also a whole fight scene cut out with a TIE fighter that in Thailand they edited it back in.
But
But
going to Star Wars again.
yeah.
Thank you.
There's TIE fighter. Boom. TIE
Good
fighters.
night.
No, but it's true. Like there was I would have loved to have seen knowing that Muay Thai has had so much more popularity now because of MMA, and like I would love to have seen how it's represented in this movie as well, because there was a whole scene shot and edited, and it was part of the movie, and it was like 150 minutes, almost 3 hours long, and they genuinely and then they cut it out because they're like, it's not relevant to the story.
It's actually available in Zack Snyder's Jet Li's feed. There's a 4-hour cut of this movie.
And it's in 4:3 formats for the vision of the director. And
I always loved when martial arts movies do what this movie did, which I think is another reason why I liked it so much. It's so monotonous when it gets to the fact that it's like, no, my wushu's better than your wushu. Let's just use wushu against each other. I like seeing those fight scenes where it's like, and we'll get to it eventually, but in that Tony Jaa movie where he's fighting the capoeira guy, and it's two different styles fighting each other. In this, he fought one other person that did wushu. The rest of the fights were two people. The rest of the fights were all wrestlers, spears. There was a rapier, freaking sword.
The Spanish
fighting,
sword
like,
guy, the
Spanish sword guy.
I like the guy who was like, my standing gorilla or standing elephant? What the fuck was it?
Standing elephant? I think it was. Yeah, that's the wushu guy that he did the stance.
That shit. And I was like, I've never heard of the elephant style of fighting. I could be good at the elephant style of fighting. But I was like, oh, this is interesting. Like I dug that too. Man. I don't know. I like this movie a lot, but again,
kitty cat. That he did the tiger.
When he called the tiger,
the cat.
He didn't. Mike didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Mike didn't hear that. Mike called him. Mike was watching it in French at that point, so he didn't.
I was watching. I was watching it in French. It was much more elegant in French. It was. It had a complete. I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like it would have frustrated me too much to watch it. I just could not continue. I genuinely could not continue.
Yeah, this is like I know, man. You've said this multiple times about the but it doesn't. It bothered me for all of 2 seconds, and then go, okay, yeah, it's fine. That's what it is. It is. It's fine.
No, because I knew that's the thing. All of 2 seconds. I'm sure I could have finished the movie and watched the movie, but it was bothering me.
You just said you couldn't. You just said you couldn't. I don't think I could have finished it. Like
no. But yes, you're right. I don't think I could have finished it knowing that I was missing something. You know what I mean? Like there's more to this that I am feeling like it's like, fuck, the subtitles don't match. I want the performance in Chinese. If I'm going to watch it in a foreign language, let me watch it. Like, let me disassociate the two things so that I can just watch the movie. And rather than be just thinking about this the whole time.
I was because if ever there's captions, even if it's closed captions in English, I'm always reading it regardless of whether I know the language or not. Even when somebody's speaking Spanish and they do English translations, I'm like, I know Spanish, I can speak it, and I'm still reading the translation in English. So with that, I was still reading there were a couple times where I was like, oh, the subtitle was way better description of what just happened.
Yeah.
There was a way better description, but I didn't dwell over it, and it wasn't gonna kill me. It was fine.
That's
I
because
moved on.
I'm smarter than you, Neri. It's because
Yeah,
I think on a
clearly.
higher level than you, and I can't process all these
You could have
thoughts.
just stopped at. You could have just said because you think. I'm like, that's it. That's it. You're done. You were right.
Accurate.
You were
Or I read
accurate.
once.
I am not sitting here thinking when I'm watching a martial or a crazy fight movie. I'm like, yeah, give me the fights.
Well,
Give me the fights.
there are movies that I will watch like that, like when we watch next week's movie. There will be.
I think this is the best. I think this has been so far the best martial arts in a KickFlix movie. I think it's either it's very there's
I'm thinking of
two.
all the ones we've done. Let me see.
So we did the
You forgot
Unbok is
about Blind
really
Fury.
oh, yeah. Correct. I stand corrected. Unbok is the one that comes to mind as far as the best martial arts, but then Ninja Assassin, for all the craziness, it still had really good martial arts. Like it was still really.
I think this is the most historically KickFlix movie in the sense of it's
What's the
the
only
most-
one?
Yeah.
well,
it's,
There's
yeah, but
this
it's like
one
that
and Enter the Dragon and Enter the Ninja. There's this one and Enter the Ninja that are the only ones that are historically accurate. Everything else.
Well,
is
not
just-
well, not
Revenge of the
even
Ninja is
historically
based on a
accurate, but,
true
like,
story.
it's science. No, but what I mean is like the when because Mike, when we talked about this a long time ago before that, you were like, I want these older movies. Like this is more towards the 36 Chambers type of movie, more towards the like that. When you think of a kung fu movie, I think out of all the movies we've done, this has been the first like real kung fu movie that we've done.
There's there's kung fu movies. There's movies that use kung fu, and then there's kung fu movies about kung fu.
Right.
And like those movies about kung fu, those are you have like I feel like you should watch them differently because then they're trying to tell you like a historical story, and it's not just like the legend of oh man, I don't know if Storm Riders is on the list. Storm Warriors, Storm Riders.
Not sure. Listen, so the movies
What's
that
the
we've
point?
seen
Whatever.
so far on Netflix are Red Belt, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Yes.
Police Story, Enter the Dragon, American Ninja.
Oh my God. Mary. It's you.
It's you. Leave and come back. Leave and come back.
Mary, get out. Leave.
Get out. Leave.
Leave.
And come back.
Leave the chat. Walk your ass out the chat.
Bro, it's a loud beeping noise and it's fucking
You.
annoying. Stop.
Leave.
Just leave and come back. No, leave.
Like, go away.
Leave the studio and come back in. Jesus Christ. And he's like, ha 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 ha. It's like you're destroying my eardrums.
Yeah.
Good
like you left
Lord.
and I was like, I thought it was me. I was like, no.
I left because it's happened before while you were off, and I was like, dude, what the hell's going on?
Sweet time. But yeah, anyway. But yeah, I think this is the most traditionally like martial arts,
Yeah, the story about kung fu. The movies about kung fu I will always watch them differently than the movies that are fantasy kung fu movies,
Right.
And like there's a one called The Duel, which is like the gods come down and it's a sword that slices through a mountain, and I'm like, fuck yeah, whatever, bro.
Yeah, I'm into that.
Yeah, I'm in. Who cares? But if it's like this is a real man.
Mike is like, mountain is made out of granite, and if you think about it, the sword is
I mean, how long is the sword for it to have? Does it extend? What kind of no? But it's fucking magic. Like,
had you said it cut through a hill, I would have believed you. But mountain, sir, that's too much.
But the second you talk about magic and stuff, then it's a whole different thing. But when you're talking about this is a real story. this is based on a true story, there's gonna be the bullshit detector goes off of like, you know, that to me it just screams like when you watch any movie about somebody, like even when you watch, oh god, what was the movie I just saw?
Yeah, but any movie that anytime I'm watching a movie, not a documentary, anytime I'm watching a movie and it says based on a true story,
Yeah.
I take that shit with a grain of salt and go, oh, the story might be real, but then what the specific incidences are not. Like I always, and so what I like to do, and this has gotten me in trouble actually in the movie theater pre-COVID, was when it's something like that, like based on a true story, I like to Google like, oh, like how close was that, or did that actually happen? Not to judge it and be like, oh, fuck you, you're full of shit, but to be like, oh, that's cool that they took this scene from a larger pool of, or these three characters were actually 7 characters in real life, but they kind of meld them together. Like I'm with you. I just, unless I'm watching a documentary, if I'm watching a documentary and you feed me bullshit, if I'm watching a documentary and all of a sudden it's fucking, and then he went up to the mountains for 5 years and had sex with a blind lady, then I'm gonna be like, when I Google this better be fucking accurate. Like this better be real fucking like. But if I'm watching a Hollywood movie, a cinematic movie, I'm just like, take it with a grain of salt, man. I really
I
don't.
do. I'm not saying I don't do that. I'm just saying that I watch it very differently than I would like a Lord of the Rings or something. You know, like if I'm watching a movie about Tolkien, I'm gonna watch it differently than I watch about Lord of the Rings.
Well, you better be fucking high if you watch that movie.
But like, so I was just watching a documentary about that dude that turned his bulldozer into like a tank and then ran over all of his enemies' businesses in his town. It's called Tread. It's awesome, but
it's a documentary.
It's a document. No, this is a real situation that happened. It was like on the news that they could not get through the armor piercing. They had it was.
Are we gonna write this? Are we gonna write this movie?
It's a real story. I mean, it's fucking great. And it was, but then when they start, so the people that they interviewed are the people that are alive still, for spoiler alert, that were his enemies. So when they talk about how he exaggerated about this and the reason why he was mad at me was this, I'm always like, fuck you, you're fucking lying. You're just making yourself look better now after the fact. But realistically, like you could have been a piece of shit, and now like you can't believe it whole cloth. You have to take it with, you have to kind of watch like this dude in this movie, whether it's based on a true story or not, he united all these people and he formed this thing. You start to lionize people. You start to exaggerate how good he was. You start to people do that shit about Barack Obama.
They did that shit about the guy from in Remember the Titans. People who, which is based on a true story, people who lived in that town hate that movie because they're like, he was like the guy, apparently the coach was a real life asshole, like fucking forever.
Yeah.
And then when that movie came out, he became so popular that he then started becoming Denzel as him.
Right.
And everybody was like, you were an asshole, like for like real asshole. And so I get that, like all of that shit, but that to me, I'm just like, it's fine.
I just think about like Tropic Thunder when the dude pulls the hooks off and he's like, you still have your hands, like he was making the whole fucking thing up.
I don't know the name. I just know the sound it makes when it takes a man's life. All right, we got to go give our reviews. Oh, by the way, FYI, I don't have access to the wheel right now.
Can I log into it from where I am?
I don't know the password, therefore I don't know. Because it's in my home computer, it automatically logs in, like it remembers, it has the password saved, but that's my home computer. It's not my phone. That's what I was trying to do for a lot of this episode. If you hear me quiet for more than 5 minutes, it's me going like, "Fuck, where do I get this fucking password?" I've been looking for it and texting my wife and the whole nine, and she's working, so she hasn't read the message. But anyways, we'll do it on Instagram. We'll post it on Instagram, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
Reviews, ratings. I'm sorry. What do you give it?
First
of all, what's the tomato rating, Jeff?
Tomato rating: critics 73%, audience 86%.
On par.
Interesting.
Okay.
Interesting. I am going to give it 4 out of 5 tea combinations. This was a good, like, the story was, the redeeming story. It wasn't that original, but it was well told. But the fighting kind of really put it over the top in terms of a KickFlix movie. but I do, as someone who did study martial arts and who did buy into some of the cultish kind of ideas of the Bruce Lee worship and the Jitao Jeet Kune Do and how you can idolize the teacher. I do I'm out of that phase now, but I do understand that the philosophies are sound, like whole mind, whole spirit, whole body, all that shit. That all that shit. Uh
All your dumb fucking living,
your
all your
stupid
dumb,
fucking
all your dumb
bullshit.
life
Yeah.
philosophies. Fucking
Yeah.
dumb life.
But I do love the explanation of that the tea does not judge itself, and it's like the tea is grown under different circumstances. The tea, like it's
Yeah, but see, I was watching that, and he's like, the tea doesn't judge itself. Like, yeah, but I'm not asking the tea to. I'm asking you to judge the tea,
but
motherfucker.
then
Like, I'm not.
but that's the thing is that you're putting it in terms of competition, and you're not appreciating the tea for having grown. You're you know what I mean? Like the
I don't
tea,
buy into that.
the
That,
magic
that
of
was a really. I get the overall message of that, but that specific thing, I'm like, no, I could still appreciate chocolate and vanilla. I could just tell you that I like vanilla more than chocolate. It doesn't mean that I don't like chocolate or appreciate chocolate. It just means that
you
I
said the thing.
prefer.
I like one more over the other. Not one
Yeah.
is objectively better than the other.
Oh, right. That's
You know what I'm
that's
saying?
our thing, right? We've been
Yeah.
saying that forever.
Yeah. I like a thing. I don't like a thing. I don't know if tea's good or bad. I'll just be like, "Bleh, bleh," or delightful. Like there's no two ways about it. But it is a 4 out of 5 for me. I mean, this was a great movie. If it has some of its flaws in the storytelling, but the action was fucking great, and yeah, it's a great KickFlix movie with a little bit of history.
Jeff?
I'm gonna give it same. I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5 signed death waivers.
Yes.
And I think the
Solid.
action was fantastic. There's, like I said before, I love getting the action scenes where it's all different types of martial arts or fighting styles that are on in portrayal. I think Jet Li's one of these actors, these martial arts actors that he can really make those other people shine with those arts, and he knows how to make it look really interesting. I don't know if anybody, like, not everybody Steven Seagal could do that.
What are you comparing? What the like? That came out of my soul, Jeff. Like what?
I
Are
mean,
you
he's not an
fucking
Inuit
kidding
that's
me?
fighting an oil company, but but I really enjoyed the movie. I think, like you said, Mike basically said everything I was going to, like the history, the fact that it's historical, even though it's got its, it's not 100% historically accurate. It still gives you the history with the action. I dug it. I liked it. 4 out of 5 signed death waivers.
Nice. I'm gonna give it 4.5. Blind girl haircuts. That I'm sorry, that haircut that blind lady had was distracting the fuck out of me. The bangs that go into a triangle in the front, it was so distracting. In a movie full of half haircuts,
Yeah,
that haircut just fucking did
No,
it
and
for
what
me.
she
Where
did
I'm
to
like,
him, where she wrapped it around his head, the braid.
yeah, and this
She
I
wrapped
was
the braid
like,
around his head.
whatever. She was like, you should wash your hair. Grandma says wash your hair. I'm like, what about fucking combing it? How about combing that shit? No, nobody. But let's see here.
there's
Oh,
a
man, my
name
wife
for
is-
those hairstyles. There's a reason that they have that, and I'm trying to remember what it was, but it's definitely like literally at a certain age you shave a certain point, and then I don't remember. Like the braid gets longer and longer and longer, and it means something. I can't remember, but it's definitely a old Qing Dynasty traditional thing.
Yeah, no, I'm assuming it's completely traditional because it's not. This is not the only movie in which this.
No, yeah, it's
hairstyle
like
There's
is
a
featured in.
female
So I'm
wrestler now.
completely aware of this. Yeah,
There's a female wrestler
Um,
that uses that nowadays. She has a ponytail like that, and she whips people with it and knocks them out with it because it's real. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Nate.
So yeah, that hairstyle was just fucking jacked. Anyway, so I'm gonna give it 4.5 out of 5. Blind girl hairstyles. Really the only thing I'm taking away from this movie, the reason it's not a 5 is because of the dubbing. Because I can't not. It's
Yeah.
you know what I mean. For as much of it as I said, oh, just get used to it, whatever, just move on. Let's be real. Anyway, so that's that. So 4, 4, and 4.5. Make sure you guys check out the other. We got another episode coming up next Monday. We're gonna do it during the day as well. If you're the audio listener, this doesn't affect you. But if you want to go back to watch the video, you can watch it. It's gonna live on forever on Facebook and YouTube. So check that out. And we will pick the movie for next time on our Instagram. We're gonna show We're gonna show the whole thing on Instagram. The wheel being picked.
KickFlix Pod.
Yeah, I'm not KickFlix Pod. Everything is at KickFlix Pod, and on Instagram we will do the wheel. I apologize for the technical difficulties because I'm in the middle of the ocean.
Hold on, don't leave it.
Great. Well, it's not like we have to go back to work or something. Thank you for showing me your ass. Jeez. Oh, he got a shirt. Yeah, there you go. I thought you would wear it. I thought you would have just worn it.
I wore it for another thing. I wore it for Woobro, I think. And then when you left, I was showing it off. But yeah, we have shirts. Buy the shirt.
We have
and
shirts.
We're working on another one.
Links are in the bio. So make sure to go. If you go to our Instagram or our Facebook, just check out the links in the bios. And you could go to TeePublic and then search KickFlix, and we have shirts, multiple shirts. We're coming up with another design now. So thank you guys for checking us out. Go to geekbro.net, check out the other podcasts on the Geekbro Network. Hilda, thank you again for listening and chatting with us and engaging. And go to KickFlixPod. KickFlixPod@gmail to send us your picks for whatever movies you want to add to the wheel, and go to geekbro.net. Hold on. My wife just sent me the email. She says,
"Oh, let's do it then."
Hold on. Let's see. Let's see if it works.
So apparently, the half haircut was forced on the Manchu dynasty by the Hans at some point. I guess I'm not exactly sure if I'm saying that right because I closed the link. Hold on.
No, it didn't work. She sent me the wrong one, but it's fine. All right. So thank you guys for checking us out. Check out the other podcasts on the Geek Bro Network that include, but are not limited to, But Let Me Tell You, the What's Up Bro podcast, Shiver, Horror Movie Podcast, Cramacopia with Jeff and Q, and a bunch of other ones. Child Like a Best with Mike Valdez, and et cetera, et cetera. You guys been great. Thank you very much. Bye.
KickFlix.